All right. The recording has begun. Let's get started. So, in today's session, which is session 4 of Code Vipassana season 13. Okay, recording has not fully started. Okay, now it's recording. All right. Thank you, folks. Thanks for joining session 4 of season 13, Code Vipassana. In this session and throughout the season, we've been learning to build 100% Postgres compatible AI applications with AlloyDB. Even though this season, uh, if you go to the season's agenda, which is codevipassana.dev, you'll see 2 more applications. One with Cloud SQL setup, easy quick setup for Cloud SQL and building your first application, the skeleton application, just like we saw in AlloyDB. And the second one is building the surplus stuff matching dating app for your stuff, building that with Cloud SQL. Those 2 projects are additionally added to the season. These 2 are collaborated. These 2 are built in collaboration with our Code Vipassana leads. Kiran and I worked on that, and Kiran was the one who came up with the idea to build it with Cloud SQL. He took the Project Pioneer Challenge. So you still have 2 more labs to learn at your own pace. You can also go ahead and complete that after the session is complete. It is also Cloud SQL for Postgres. So it is in line with what we are learning. Why Postgres, you might be wondering, but a lot of AI applications, and as GenAI keeps evolving by the day, Postgres is gaining a lot of traction because of its compatibility, because of its capabilities in the ML, AI, and in the database area, right, in the relational data structure area. So with that in mind, just think of all the capabilities that you have with Postgres, that you're able to satisfy so much in taking your data to AI or data to ML or data to Gen AI, or in recent terms, data to agentic AI. Kind of use cases with Postgres. Imagine if you're able to do the same thing, but with high availability, high scalability, super fast, capability, and with security, like much more security, which is fully managed, and you don't have to install, you don't have to patch, you don't have to maintain anything of it. So that's what AlloyDB is for you. It's a 100% Postgres compatible database, which is able to do everything that Postgres does, but 100x more, with 100x more analytical speed of analytical processing, and with 4x more speed of your transactions, and so much more, having direct integration with Vertex AI. So that's exactly what we've been looking at in this season throughout. Why AlloyDB? Because of all the things that I just said, because of how easily integrated it is, how smooth it is in integration with Vertex AI or Gemini for that matter, or embeddings, or any model that you want to use from Vertex AI perspective, with the fact that it supports every ML and AI capability that Postgres supports. And with the speed that it has, with the speed at which it does analytics, transactions, and other processing. And with the security that it provides, the row-level security, which we're going to look at today, and also with the fully managed capability that it comes with. So you also experienced firsthand how you generated embeddings and did vector search with so much data, just test data, but still we did for so many tens of thousands of rows over one of these sessions in the season, and you saw firsthand how fast it is for some of your not just transactions, but analytical queries, even mass updates, things were mass inserts, things were really fast for you. So you saw that firsthand how Gemini gets integrated. You saw firsthand how embeddings get integrated and how fast it is for you to do analytics. What we didn't see so far is how do we get that level of security that we're talking about. So in this session, that's what we're going to look at. Safety. So when you are building, now we are in the agentic era, right? So let's talk about agents. When you're talking with, when you're building an application with users who are talking to your agent, there are a wide range of users. You're building something for, let's say, a C-level person, or for someone who has a specific, has access to, let's say your product has multiple bands. If they have a premium quota, they have like a gold band. And if they have, basic quota, they have a silver band or something of that sort, right? And a person of silver band should not have access to information that's available only for gold band, right? For example, if it's an internal application or an internal agent, let's say a manager can ask questions about what is the hike that I have to give person A in my team, or what is the hike that this person got from this particular team. A manager can view this information, whereas a team member cannot view this information of another team member, because that's how the hierarchy, or that's how the system works, right? Um, like process wise. So that is the level of distribution and the level of differentiation you need to create in data. Now, you may think it's very simple. We've had that traditionally in our applications. Yes, but you didn't build information systems that intelligently did things on its own. You had complete control. You had like rule-based systems, but that's not the case anymore. You're building agents where technology or your application or your business is making decisions for your end user. So that's where a discrepancy might happen. Now, has it been the case in the past? Yes, definitely. But the rules did have a lot of weightage in making sure that it worked well. Now that we are breaking through that rule-based system, we are going towards an agentic system. So we cannot go back on that. We have to continue to go. But while we're continuing with that direction, we need to make sure that our security is still on par with the changing times, right? So that's exactly what we're going to look at today. If we push security to the application layer, it may not be efficient, right? Logic fails, then folks, I request you to not send emojis so much, because I understand you're excited. Or maybe there is something in it that captivates you. Keep it to text. Use emojis only when we ask for confirmation, or something like that. Thank you. So pushing it down to the database layer is the ideal way to go. Why? Because that's where your data resides. We are bringing, in the last few sessions, you saw that we brought AI to your database layer, to where the data resides. You brought embeddings to your data layer. You brought bulk analytics to your data layer without having to write a separate pipeline for it. So you have to bring your security down to that layer as well. Um, that's how it goes, and that's the most logical way to go about it, right? So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to use PostgreSQL's row level security, but in AlloyDB. We ensure that the database physically refuses to return data the user is not allowed to see, no matter what the AI agent tries to ask, or how curious ever the AI agent gets. Your database will return only what is slated in for that particular user or for that particular customer. So that's what we're going to build today, a secure HR assistant that dynamically changes its answers based on who's logged in. All right. So we are not going to build a complex permission logic in Python. Instead, we are using the database engine itself to do that security logic. So this time we are not going to build a Flask or a heavy, it was not heavy, even the application that we built before. But this, we are going to keep it very simple, because the core, the essence of what we're going to discuss today is the security aspect. So we're going to keep it to Streamlit and a few lines of Python code. But the main part is your AlloyDB AI part, where you will see the Postgres compatible row level security being applied in action. So that's what the front end part is. In essence. So that's what you'll see. So we'll set a session variable called active user at the start of every transaction. So the database policies will automatically check what user roles are applicable and filter the roles correspondingly. Okay, so we are building a secure HR assistant application. Ready? Show of thumbs, you're all ready to get going? All right. So now moving to before you begin step, which is step number 2. We already completed the creating the project step. All right, we already creating a billing account step. Some of you may not have linked the billing account to the project. We'll do that now in a bit. But before that, like we did in every other lab in this season, we are going to create AlloyDB cluster and AlloyDB instance, which will take a few minutes, but we'll have to do that anyway right now. Yeah. So for that, you may have already clicked a button and gotten started. But before that, let's also do one thing. We have to enable a few APIs. Remember, some of you might have created a brand new project altogether, or some of you are brand new to the season. So we will get started by going to Cloud Shell terminal, making sure we are setting the right project. We are authorizing you as a user in the Cloud Shell terminal, and then we'll enable the APIs before we get started with AlloyDB. So I'm sure all of you have your Cloud Console open from when you created the project and activated the credits. Make sure you click Google Cloud logo and you're able to see the console again in case you're not in the console already. If you're already on the console, it's showing the right project. Perfect. Don't go anywhere. Just click the Activate Cloud Shell button that is right next to the Gemini Cloud Assist logo. So go ahead and click the Activate Cloud Shell button and wait for the Cloud Shell terminal to load. So interaction of AlloyDB with cloud, talk about that when the instance and cluster are getting uh, deployed. So it will ask you, when you click the Cloud Shell terminal, it will ask you to authorize Cloud Shell. Please go ahead and click authorize. All right, so now we are in terminal. You should be able to see the Cloud Shell terminal like this. You should be able to see your project ID displayed in the last prompt. If you're not seeing your project ID, or even otherwise to be sure, right above that prompt, you should see a command that, or a line that's an information line that says use gcloud config set project and within square parenthesis project ID. Copy, not with the quotes, just the command up to project and paste it here. And instead of in the end, in right after project, type a spacebar, and then type your project ID. So we want to make sure you're setting your, if it's not showing your project ID, then do this. Otherwise, no need. For some of you, you may have not authorized yet. So you will have to do gcloud auth login. It's very simple. It's there in the code lab also. But if you don't know, let me just ping this in the chat. Not every time. You don't have to enable APIs every time. If you're using a same project, you don't need to enable. If you created a brand new project, you need to enable APIs. The reason is, if you don't enable your brand new project right now, right? So how will you know you're turning on these APIs in order to use that in your project? That's why you need to turn it on. All right. So make sure gcloud login, and once you click gcloud, once you hit enter, it will ask you to if you confirm if you want to continue. So if you want to make sure you want to authenticate, some of you may not have been. In my case, I am authenticated, so I'm going to say N. But if you're unsure, or you know that you're not authenticated, type capital Y and hit enter. It will give you a link, and it will ask you to click that link and go and copy the authentication code. You have to come back and paste that authorization code, and it will authorize you into the terminal. So that's a small process, but it's a very self-explanatory process. So please follow that. Once that is complete, it will come back and land you in the Cloud Shell terminal with your project ID showing. Once you're able to see your project ID right now, go back to the code lab. You should copy the enable APIs gcloud command. Just copy it by clicking the copy code sample button. Come to your Cloud Shell terminal, paste it. So this is where you're telling Google Cloud that this is my new project, which is there in the ID. I'm going to enable these APIs because I'm going to use these services in my project today. That's what we are doing in this step. Yeah. So that's done in my case. I'm hoping that you're also able to complete this step. If you're done, then go to next step, which is database setup. When you're doing it at your own time later, if you're not able to finish it for some reason, you have errors, you also have some gotchas and troubleshooting steps in the bottom of each and every step, most steps. But don't worry about it right now, because if you're able to complete it, these are all simple steps. You should be able to get going. Moving on to third step, show of thumbs. You're able to successfully complete till here. Perfect. Thanks for confirming. All right. Moving on to third step. This is a very familiar step to you all by now, because you've already completed 4 code labs. This is the 5th code lab, but 4th session though. If you're logged in, but I'm going to repeat the steps anyway in case there are new folks in the call. So this is a bunch of quick instructions, or a bunch of quick commands put together behind the scenes which I built to make the experience of using AlloyDB for you all easier and seamless, more or less just smooth, so that you can get going with the implementation of your project rather than worrying about setting up AlloyDB cluster and instance. So that's why you see that the button is in the code lab. So if you're sure that your browser is in the right is logged in with the right Gmail account, that you are logged in with the Google Cloud account, just click that one click and run button. If you're just make sure to right click and copy the link address from the one click and run button, and make sure you open the tab in the right Google account or Gmail account, and then paste it and hit enter. In most cases, you should be in the right Gmail account. So don't worry, just go ahead and click this button. In my case, I clicked it and it is opening a dialog box in another tab, and it is asking me permission to trust the repo because it wants to clone this repo. Some of you may have done this step multiple times for each code lab in this season, so you don't have to clone it. I'll tell you how to go about it, but if you want to clone it anyway, just check this trust repo checkbox and click confirm. For those folks who already have this project, who have already cloned it through multiple sessions in the past, and you have not deleted it, then you don't have to do this click of this button. What you can do is from Cloud Shell terminal, you can directly navigate into that project, which is easy AlloyDB setup or something. Yeah, you can just do CD project name. But for folks who are clicking that button for the first time, or if you want to redo this project because you've deleted before, don't worry, just click that button. While it is cloning, it is automatically doing everything that's needed. And it's opening the terminal right here. And it should open a tutorial on the right hand side, which says AlloyDB easy setup for development purposes. So as you can see, it has logged into my Cloud Shell terminal with easy AlloyDB setup project showing. All right, now click the start button. Once you click start button, you should see shrun.sh command in the tutorial, step 1. Copy that shrun.sh, copy that command and click the next button. Next step is it will tell you how to access UI once you run this in the terminal. Just see what it says. It's just saying once you run that shrun.sh, it should start server on port 8080 and you'll get a localhost terminal, localhost endpoint. You just have to click that endpoint. That's all. Close the tutorial. Now make sure it is opened your Cloud Shell terminal and showing the right project still, project ID. And it should be inside the folder easy AlloyDB setup. In your case, if you're doing it for the first time, it will say easy AlloyDB setup. If you have cloned it multiple times, it will automatically number the folder. So it's okay either way. Just paste this command run.sh, which you copied, or just type it inside the right folder, sh space run.sh, and hit enter. Now it should automatically run this shell script and it will open the it will show you the endpoint for the application that's running in your local. This is the small web application that will help you set up your cluster and instance for AlloyDB. Go ahead and click this localhost link 127.0.0.1 in port 8080. Once you click that, you should see the web app that I'm seeing in my screen. This is just a helper app that will help us set up cluster and cluster and instance, along with all the networking setup, everything taken care of automatically. That's why we are doing this. Now, if you remember, I had told some of you to hold on when we are trying to link your trial billing account with one of your existing projects or a brand new project that you've created. For those folks who have multiple billing accounts and want to make sure an active trial billing account is the only account that's getting linked to the project that you want to build today with. So for those folks, please follow this step. For folks who have just created Google Cloud project for the first time today with the first billing account ever, you don't have to worry about it. Your projects are already linked to the right billing account anyway, which is a trial billing account. All right. Now go ahead and put in your project ID here, right? And leave this billing account name empty. By default, it will take an active trial billing account. And go ahead and click link to active billing account button. In my case, I'm already sure that it is linked to the right billing account, so I'm not clicking it. Everyone else who wants to make sure that it is linking only to a trial billing account and not to any other billing accounts that may be associated with your credit card or maybe associated with something else, you go ahead and click this. This will make sure it will link to an active billing account, which is trial. So go ahead and click this. In a second or two, it will show that successfully linked a trial billing account that is active to your current project ID. Once you're done with that, click the AlloyDB setup, which is what we are going to do right now. But before we set up, show of thumbs, how many of you successfully completed till here? Thank you so much for confirming. Let's go there and let's go ahead and do the AlloyDB setup really quickly. Make sure your project ID that is showing is accurate. Make sure region is set as US Central 1. Don't have to change that. If you've created clusters in the past with the same names, make sure you change it. Just add a number it as number 4 or something. I'm going to just add a 4 to the end. That's all. Otherwise, it's you can add something more meaningful as well. You can say that security application test 4 or something like that. But I'm just going to leave it as it is and just add a number 4 in the end. And for database password, make sure you add AlloyDB all small. It can be anything of your choice, but just in case we all remember for this trial application, let's all keep the same one, which is AlloyDB all small. Click Start Deployment button. It will take a few minutes for this, 15 minutes to be precise, up to 15 minutes for this process to complete. So in the meantime, I'll also explain a few things about what we're going to build and the repository and everything. But show of thumbs before that, how many of you clicked the step under waiting? Okay, perfect. So one of you had asked, how does AlloyDB talk to, my screen is not visible? It's visible, right? I can see it in the call. Yeah. Some of you had asked, one of you had asked how AlloyDB talks to other services. I know the leads had replied, but I just want to take that question up anyway. Um, Yes, AlloyDB is fully managed and all that. But if you're worried about how I can get multiple services in Google to talk to each other in your web application, make sure, first of all, we covered it in sessions in 3 labs so far. Even though we did 4 labs so far, the first one was more about just setting up AlloyDB. But otherwise, we've done sample applications where AlloyDB talks to application that you build. And AlloyDB talks to other services like cloud storage and other things like that. So basically, you can talk to them in multiple ways. You can make the services talk programmatically using their respective APIs behind the scenes, or you can make them talk in through console. Like you can just go there and manually, do stuff if you want to test out the services. But ideally, we've done this grammatically using the APIs of the respective services. If you're curious, please take a look at the sustainability app that we built in this season, which is of session 2. So that will give you a good idea of integrating multiple services in Google Cloud. I hope that answers your question. Um, and about questions around self-paced sessions, self-paced sessions don't have a submission criteria, but we will run some community-led, the leads-led sessions after this. You'll get invite to it. You can join it. There are no result submission process for self-paced sessions. Reason being, those will be continuous. You'll get a lot more sessions. We are building something in Firestore as well for people who like document database, semi-structured database, as opposed to relational database. So we'll get you access to that as well. So it's coming up soon as well. So you'll get instructor-led sessions by the leads, but you won't need to submit all results. All the other details were shared with you previously about what to submit and other things. So please look at your email. What basically, if you're stuck and and you're not able to proceed with one of the steps related to this particular season or session, sorry, please use the Discord channel later to ask questions, because we looks like it needs more information. So in the chat, please confine the questions related to this session, to this session only, so that we are able to focus. I'm just trying to see if the deploy. Okay, create instance step is going on for me. So let's give it a few minutes. Just plugging in my charger. If you want to check what billing account you're associated to, there is a way. If you go to Google Cloud Console, you will have to open Google Cloud Console by right-clicking the logo, open in a new tab, or just open a new tab and type in console.cloud.google.com. Click the navigation menu. Make sure the project that you want is selected. Click the navigation menu. Click billing. And once billing opens, it will ask you to go to linked billing account or do manage billing accounts. Click the linked billing account, go to linked billing account. Once you go to linked billing account, you can scroll down and go to credits. You should be able to go to credits from the left. I'm not able to see that right now because this is not a single account, so I won't be able to go here. But if it's your trial billing account, you would be able to, from the left, you should be able to go to credits. And in there, it will show you what billing account it's. I don't have permission to see that, but yeah, in yours, you should be able to see what billing account it's associated to and how many dollars are left in the credits that you have from the credits tab. So that's where you can see. I hope that helps. Is the instance getting created or not? Yeah, it's been only 5 minutes, so it'll take some time. How many of you got your cluster? And did anyone complete, or it's still going on for everyone?
Still going on, ma'am.
Thank you. I see some of you. Sorry, one other question from Prahash. Can we use MongoDB in AlloyDB, or we can have? Oh yeah, very interesting question. Actually, there are multiple reasons why we go for database of different structures, right? So not all data are alike. Some are relational in nature, and some are unstructured or semi-structured for that matter, like document database, the kind of data that you want to store in MongoDB or a Firestore or a Firebase, right? And some are unstructured, the kind of data we stored in the application that we saw in the session 2, right? Which is the surplus swap or sustainability app. So that one we stored in cloud storage in addition to using AlloyDB. So you know what you want to store, and dependent on that, based on that, you will choose the database, and it's not always one size fits all. In some applications, you'll have multiple needs or multiple styles and structures and formats of data that you will have to use different databases to satisfy the business requirement and to make sure all your business needs are met in the in the SLAs and the SLOs that you have to meet for your customers. So if you want to read more about how multi database systems work, I've written a blog about that, and there's also a code lab. I can share a link to it at the end of the session, but we are also going to have a Code Vipassana lead-led session for building the same things that we saw today with Firestore. Not today's session, but the first two sessions, which is like setting up and then building the sustainability app with Firestore, which is very similar to doing it in a MongoDB system as well. And also connecting between MongoDB and AlloyDB, also straightforward. There are blogs and code labs around it as well, which I can share, Prahash, if you're interested. Yeah, I hope that helped. Thank you so much. Now going back to the code lab, sorry, going back to the console. As you can see, my deployment is complete. It says deployment complete in the logs tab. And if you go to the summary tab, you can see all the basic info that I really need for today's session. So you don't have to copy the basic info, because if you click the reveal private IP and copy button, it automatically shows me my IP address and all the other details that I'll need for building this application. So I'm going to take this tab away from the shared mode for a moment. I'm going to click reveal private IP and copy, so that I copy everything I need and you don't see it and it doesn't go on the camera. So I'll now come back and put it back here. I'll make sure that I save it somewhere so I can use it in today's session. So it should say AlloyDB connection details. It should show your host. It should show your port. It should show your database, user, password, which is same. Password it won't show because we all know that we set the password as AlloyDB in small case letters. And it should show your cluster ID, instance ID, region, project, network, subnet. So you might be wondering, I didn't set any network and subnet. How did it get my network name and subnet name? So if you notice, we clicked a button in order to set up the application where you configured your AlloyDB cluster and instance names. So that configuration step is designed to default your network and subnet names to EC-AlloyDB-VPC and EC-AlloyDB-subnet respectively. The reason why we did that is you want to make sure you're able to create the network and subnet across all your projects for when you're setting this up. Now, if you want to productionize this, you may want to go in that code and change the network name or make it customizable. So your network ID and other things are unique for a specific project, but that's very simple from where we are. Very simple to get to. It's not a difficult process, but just know how we got this done. That's what's more important. So I hope you all were able to go to the summary tab and copy paste all the details that are needed for the rest of this application today. Show of thumbs, how many of you successfully copied? Got your instance completed? All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for confirming, for showing your thumbs emoji. All right. So we are in step 3 of the code lab. Go back to your code lab. We have completed this. If you're wondering what really happened, just open the repository. If you right-click this one-click and run button and paste it somewhere, maybe in your tab, you'll probably, in a browser, you'll probably see a GitHub repository in the beginning. If you see that GitHub repo, just copy that GitHub repo, which is https://github.com/Abirami Sukumaran/easy AlloyDB setup. Just copy that out separately and open that repository. What you should be able to see here is what you should see here is the run.sh, which is predominantly just doing one thing, calling main.py. And main.py is the one that is giving you the is giving you the front end, the app, the experience that you're interacting with. And it's behind the scenes just calling one thing, which is create AlloyDB.sh, the shell script. This is configured. This is the main configuration shell script. This is where I said the names of VPC and subnet are all hard coded. So I'm guessing you're not able to see, but you can see it right here. So in this repo, you can see that certain things are hard coded, which is VPC name, subnet name, and PSA range. This is because this easy setup was done to take care of these things. So you don't have to complicate the configuration process with all these details. All it does is set up cluster, set up network, all the networking requirements are fulfilled, and then it creates instance. And finally, it also generates the summary, the logs, and also the summary tab, which gives you the details that you need for configuring or letting your application talk to your database. That's pretty much it. This was just a quick overview of what you've done. So many things with it. Click that button and run, but what does it do behind the scenes? That's what we saw right now. Cool. This step also, like others, has gotchas and troubleshooting in the bottom. If you were stuck with something and you have a blocker that we are not able to resolve in the call today because we are moving on in the interest of time, please feel free to refer to these troubleshooting steps later on. One thing which I missed, or not missed by mistake, but purposely, is we didn't go through the green highlighted text in this step, predominantly because I didn't want to distract and tell anyone to go back and do this, because editing or updating the instance itself will take a few minutes. Not so much as setting up the creating the instance for the first time, but still a few minutes, which I wanted to avoid. So I didn't want to distract the developers joining. But I just, because this being the last one that is recorded like as a scheduled session, I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. So what it says is, currently the way we have configured it is to work with private IP address, which is like highly secure way of doing that, right? The instance is not accessible. But for development purposes, like in other databases like MongoDB and other things, what you do is you'll configure it public to begin with, so that you're able to quickly test your application, put the pieces together, and then later on go and do the authentication and security aspects. So if you want to copy that methodology, you can always enable public IP connectivity in AlloyDB, and then you can enter 0.0.0/0 in your authorized external networks tab to text box to enable public access for development purposes. Later, you'll have to remember to go back, remove and disable public IP connectivity. But we are not doing this anyway. We are building it securely. Even not just for today's session, across all the sessions this season, we have done it securely. So we don't have to worry about it, but I just wanted to tell you how you can do it if you want to quickly test something in your local without having to deploy it in Cloud Run each time. All right, moving on to step 4, schema provisioning. So what we have done here so far is creating a cluster, creating an instance, setting up everything that's needed, but we don't have a table that we want to build our application and keep it secure. Right now we need a table and we need data in it so that you can build your AI application on top of it, or whatever application you're building on top of it, to make sure you can see the security in the row level security in action. So for that, what we're going to do is we'll create a table by going to AlloyDB Studio and logging in, and then creating a table using the DDL, creating the user roles, creating employees table, and inserting the rows required for that. So we are creating a user roles table and employees table, lookup table and employees table. So how do we do this? Go back to your AlloyDB. So we haven't gone to AlloyDB yet, right? Now go to your Google Cloud Console. So I'm on my Google Cloud Console right now. What I'm going to do, I accidentally closed it. So do console.cloud.google.com, because sometimes in Cloud Shell Editor, you may not be able to see the Google Cloud logo. So open a new tab and make sure you're logged into the right user and the right project ID is showing in the project picker. And then in the search bar, type AlloyDB. The first item that it shows up in products results is AlloyDB for PostgreSQL. Click that and it opens AlloyDB console. Make sure you identify the current cluster and instance. Click that instance. It will take you to the current clusters landing page, which has all the detailed configurations that we spoke about. Don't worry about it. Navigate to the left and click AlloyDB Studio right below Overview tab. Click AlloyDB Studio. Now it will ask you to log in credentials. Click the database drop-down, select Postgres, click the user drop-down, select Postgres, and enter password, which we all know what we set up. AlloyDB, all small, and click Authenticate. Make sure the radio button built-in authentication is selected. And now as you can see, it shows the Explorer pane with 0 tables. So on the right-hand pane, you should see Untitled Query tab. Click that tab, go back to your code lab, copy all the create DDLs, come back here to AlloyDB, paste everything you copied. Make sure you run it one by one so you see what you're creating. So first we're creating user roles table, and next we are inserting 3 rows. We are creating 2 employees and 1 manager. And then we are running the create table DDL for employees. And then we are running the insert statement for 3 records, which is the 2 employees and 1 manager. That's it. The DDLs are run. Now you have your tables and your data. Same thing, gotchas and troubleshooting step is there. Verify the data, make sure your employees table and the other table that you just created has records in it. All right. Moving on to step 5, enable and enforce security, the very most critical step of this particular session. But before we move on to that, show of thumbs, how many of you successfully completed step 4? Thank you. Thanks for confirming. So the quota limit for AI is also time based, right? How many rows you can run within a specific time limit. It's there. It's all in the documentation. You can go and check in the product documentation, like how many records, how many calls are allowed in a specific minute. So that will help the room. All right. Moving on to step 5, enable and enforce security. So let's go through the lab step by step, and then we'll execute it in the uh, query editor. Yeah, so first step, what we're doing is we are activating row level security. That's what RLS stands for. What we're doing here is we're altering the table that we just created to enable row level security. We're just telling AlloyDB, enable row level security. Next, what we're doing is we're doing the same thing. Alter table employees, force row level security. So this one is for table owners. This is critical. We want to force it because sometimes table owners naturally get access to this. So we want to make sure that natural ownership does not occur and it forces the row level security. Next, it creates application user here. So what we're doing here is we are creating a role for app user with a specific password, and then we are granting access to employees, granting select access on employees to the app user. That's what we are doing right here. So if you want to understand what these roles and what data is there in this particular PG roles table is, just run this single line of query, select start from PG catalog, PG roles, PG underscore roles, you'll get that information. So what we'll do is we'll first run this and we'll go to check what is there. Copy this code sample, come back to your AlloyDB tab, and let's go through this one by one. Again, let's just execute this time. We are enabling row level security, and we are enforcing it so that it doesn't get loopholes. All right. Then we are running application user creation query, SQL, and then we are granting select access on both of these tables, employees and user roles tables, to app user. So all are done. So if you're curious to see what is there in this, you can just run. What all roles are there, users are there. You didn't create this. This is a system table, but just make sure you're able to see all of these things. Yeah. Just explore the table. Just see this is what we have added right now. App underscore user, and password is encoded with the stars. That's pretty much it. So that's what we have done right now. Now we'll go back to the code lab to go through the next step, which is creating the access policies. So now we have created a new user role. We have created PG roles, Postgres roles in this particular table. We have granted select access on both employee table and user role table to this particular user. We want to create access policies. So before we move on to that, show of thumbs, this is an important step. Please ensure that you have completed step 5 and please confirm that. Thank you. Thanks for confirming. So now that we've created the user and granted select permission on the table, we want to create access policies for this user. So what we're doing right here, we are defining 2 rules using a session variable. This is what we discussed in the beginning. App.activeUser that will set from our application code later. So what does this SQL statement do? create policy, we are creating a view own data policy on employees. So this particular statement right here tells you can only employee roles can view all of their own data. Manager view can see all the rows, not just their own row, but also rows of the employees. So that's very simple, bare minimum rules. Just for test purpose, we are building these two policies. Here we have set role. Sorry, this is for role employee and this is for role manager. So all employees. As you can see right here, the where clause does not have an employee filter here because all managers are employees, but not all employees are managers. So that's why the second policy has a role equal to manager condition. And what we are doing is we are creating two policies: view own data, manager view all, two policies, and we have set it to the appropriate user that comes in from the session variable, which is app.activeUser. Now moving on to the app, the front end part. Oh, no, sorry, we didn't execute this. We just saw what it does. Copy this code sample, come back to AlloyDB. Make sure you run these two create policy statements. You've created security policies for the users that we've created. Now building the Chameleon app. What we're going to do, install dependencies like always with Python, and then creating the app.py, run the application. Very simple. In this case, we will directly install. We are not going to have a full-fledged application. Like I said, we just want to quickly run and see how the security takes effect. So we'll directly pip install, and then we'll run this code snippet, the app.py code snippet, and then run the Streamlit app to see this in action. Ready? But before we move on to step number 7, show of thumbs on if you completed the access policy creation step. Okay, thank you for confirming. Moving on. Now, we are going to build the application, so we cannot be just sitting in AlloyDB tab. We have to go back to our Cloud Shell terminal and Cloud Shell. So we have completed the AlloyDB setup, right? You can close that. And you can come to Cloud Shell and do a Control-C so it comes out of the application server that it was running. Clear your screen so you're able to see clearly, and come out of that project folder by doing a CD. Yeah, make sure your project ID is still showing. That's important. If it's not, you know what command to type: gcloud config set project and your project ID. In my case, my project ID is showing, so I'm not writing it. All right. So now, if you see, if your cloud console is showing something else on top, make sure you expand the Cloud Shell terminal, and you can toggle between terminal and editor by clicking the close editor and open editor and open terminal button right here. So as you can see, my editor is open on top, so I don't have to do this much. But in your case, if something else is open on top and you want to see the terminal in the bottom, you will have the toggle between editor and terminal here. So use that alternatively. We want to use this because we are going to build this application. Yeah. So now what we're going to do is, okay, let me. So in my case, the editor is open on top and a different project is selected for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to the file menu in the editor and click open folder. You don't have to follow this. I'm just doing this because I want to come out of an open editor. So I'm going to my root directory and I'm saying okay, so that I can see all the projects. And then I'll create a brand new project. Yeah. See, it says open Cloud Shell terminal in editor mode, navigate to your root folder. That's what I did, you all saw. Or to the directory where you want to create this application. But I don't have the directory yet. So I'm going to create the directory right now. So I'm here. So as you can see right here, I'm in my root folder in the editor tab. I want to make sure I create a brand new folder. But let it first load. It's taking a minute to load my Cloud Shell editor. So I'm going to give it a second. Okay, it's loaded for me. So I'm going to create a brand new project or a folder right next to my name in the top in the Explorer pane. I can see new file icon and then new folder icon. I click the new folder icon. I'm going to say RLS test and hit enter. It opens a brand new project folder for me. So I'm just going to use that folder. That folder is an empty folder. Nothing is there. Just some random folder that I want to build this project in. So I have RLS under hyphen test. So make sure from the terminal you navigate into RLS test by typing cd RLS hyphen test. So now I'm inside the RLS test folder in terminal and also in the editor. All right. So in the terminal, I'm in the folder where I want to type in. So now I go back to the code lab. I copy the pip install command, pip install Streamlit and the psychopg binary dependencies. So let me copy this and where is my terminal? So I'm going to paste this here. So I'm going to install these two dependencies in this particular folder. Okay, it's done. I mean, it's still going on. I feel bad to call it psychopg. I'm very sure that was not why it got named that way. It's for connecting with Postgres, by the way. This depends. So copy this code sample, the app.py. So go back to your Cloud Shell terminal, make sure your dependencies are all installed. Now what you're going to do from editor in the folder where you have RLS-test as the folder, right? Inside that, create a new file. I click the new file icon and name it app.py, hit enter, and then paste what you've copied right now from the code lab. So basically, what this file is doing, let's see that in the code lab because it has a broader view here. So Streamlit, I'm just going to use to display the interface, and this PG2 is to connect with your database. And as you can see right here, this is the configuration. Ideally, you wouldn't use your configuration hard-coded in your code. You will use environment variables or secrets to pass in database credentials. In this case, since it's a trial application, I've taken this approach, but please don't do that in your real-world production-grade applications. Use environment variables. We have done that in other applications in the past, but here that was not the focus, so we wanted something real and quick, and that's why we've taken this approach. Which is not advisable, by the way. DB underscore host. So this, remember we copied when the cluster and instance got created, you copied by clicking the show IP details. So when you click that, you got a bunch of details like cluster name, instance name, IP, host, port, everything. So this information is there. Your host is there in that copied information. So you have to replace it after pasting it in app.py. All right. Everything else remains the same unless you gave a different password. And then everything else is unchanged. Let's just go over what it does. So it gets DB connection by connecting with this database credentials that you've provided. Next, it gets the DB connection, and with that connection, it invokes, it sets the active user with the user's name. And then based on the user's name, it will know whether the user is an employee or a manager. And then it will execute the details for that particular employee, and it will fetch. But now, since we have already set up the privacy policy or the security policy in database, you don't have to code any hard-coded rule here. As you can see right here, we are just setting the active user with the username from the table, and we are just setting it, executing the query. We are not doing any rule validation or any rule-based validation in this particular step. Everything else is automatically taken care of by the database setting we have already done. However, we have just displayed it in a certain format. Access denied, if that is the response, or if value is returned, it will show the value. That's all. But we have not configured anything else here in the application itself. So that is what our approach is, and that's what is the crux of the essence of this particular session is. All right. So now going back to the terminal, in your editor, make sure you replace the host with the value of the host that you copied. You should have copied it before you close it. Otherwise, you have to do the you don't have to do the whole setup again. If you go to AlloyDB, right click on the cluster, open link in new tab, and then locate your instance or the cluster that you want to, that you're currently working on, the one that you care about for this session. And once you click that instance, if you scroll down below, it will show view connectivity configuration. Click that, and you should be able to see the private IP address. And that's exactly what we are going to use in this particular placeholder XXX. Replace that with your private IP. That's it. You're all set. No other changes required. We already know what this piece of code does. Now we have to run this app. So copy this command, streamlit run app.py, and so on and so forth. Copy this code sample, come back to your terminal, paste this, and hit enter. Now this should start the server in your port 8080. So click the local URL. It will open the URL in another tab, and you should be able to see the private vault app. Click access data as Alice. You can try one by one, as Alice, as Bob, as Charlie, as Eve, and see whether it's returning that value or not. While it's thinking, show of thumbs, how many of you got to this point and got your application up and running? Cool. It may or may not be able to talk to the application. I'm afraid it won't. We'll have to set up localhost, because otherwise you'll have to deploy this application in Cloud Run. I think it may not be able to talk to your AlloyDB database because it's a private IP. We have to deploy it to Cloud Run, or we have to take the route which I said, add it as a publicly, make it publicly available for testing it in your local. Which route do you want to take? Do you want to deploy it on Cloud Run, or do you want to do the addition of temporarily allow listing it to public? Second one, for quick access, let's do that. For now, yeah, let's do that. Because either way, one or the other will take the same amount of minutes. So let's do. Currently, it won't be able to access the data. Like I said, it's private enabled, right? That's why. So now what we'll do is go to your, like I said, right click all clusters from your AlloyDB console, open link in new tab. Make sure you identify the cluster that you want to work on, and click the instance that is attached to it. Scroll down to the bottom of that instances in your cluster section, and then the three vertical dots, the instance actions menu, click that and click edit. Scroll down. Once you click edit, scroll down, you should see connectivity section, and under connectivity, as you can see, enable private IP is already checked, but the public IP connectivity, enable public IP checkbox is not checked. Enable that for the time being. And then it's asking for authorized external networks. So just paste 0.0.0.0/0 and click update instance. So it will ask you to acknowledge the risk, because like I said, it's open to the internet, right? So acknowledge the risk. Remember to delete this instance later. Yeah, we'll do it all together. So check this acknowledge the risks checkbox and click update instance. It'll take a few seconds for the instance to be updated. Ravi, you got output through what? Did you enable the public private instance or did you deploy it in Cloud Run? You should have gotten error previously. Right now we are enabling public access. So, for enabling public access for the time being, you go to the AlloyDB editor or AlloyDB tab where you have AlloyDB open. Right click all clusters in the top left corner. Click open link in new tab. Identify or locate your cluster that you're currently working on and select the instance. Click on the instance name. In your case, if you have only one cluster instance, perfect. Just click that instance name. And once you clicked it, once you click it, it will show all the details of the cluster and the instance. Scroll down to the instances part where it says instances in your cluster. Click edit by clicking the three dots, and then it will give you private public, sorry, it will by default, to private IP connection because that's what we selected. You have to forcefully select the check the enable public IP connection, and then add externally authorized IP and add 0.0.0/0, and then acknowledge the risk checkbox should be checked, and then click update instance. It'll take a few seconds for the update to get completed, few minutes, in fact. And once it's completed, you can go back and test the application. Sorry, Jashwant, I didn't get that. What flags? You can type. No, not add flags. We want to actually. The other method is Cloud Run deployment. It's there in the last previous code lab where you just run a G-Cloud Run deploy. But for that, you need a Docker file. We currently don't have a Docker file in the folder. So that's why we took this route. After adding 0.0.0.0/0, you have to click update instance. When you click update instance, it will ask you to acknowledge the risks. Acknowledge, check that box, and then update instance. And once update instance is complete, after a few, which will take a few minutes. In my case, it's complete just now. It will take a few minutes though, like 2 minutes or 3 minutes or so. And once it's complete, that's it. You're done. Come back to the Streamlit app where we are testing the accesses. Now we'll access this data again. But also the change in permissions and other things might take a few seconds to penetrate. So let's give it the benefit of doubt as well. So Ravi Kumar, you said you were able to access data. How did you do that? Was it because you um, oh, sorry, one more thing we need to change. One more thing we have to change. Now that we have enabled public access, right? You need to change that as well. So let's stop this. Let's stop the app. Do Control C and come out. You have to, since we have enabled public access, you can't give the private IP anymore. You have to provide the public IP of this host. So how do we get the public IP? Just go back to the same place where you edited. Now, view connection connectivity configuration, and then you should see private IP address. Now you should also see public IP address. Previously, you wouldn't have seen public IP address because it was disabled. Now just copy the public IP address. Don't copy 5432 because that is by default. Just the port is default. You don't have to copy that. Just paste the public IP address and then stop the server. Okay, the server is stopped in my case. Make sure yours is stopped as well. And then you can restart the application because we've changed the IP address. So now, just I'm repeating the last step one more time. What we did from the last time we tried to test that application, which is a few minutes ago to now, is that since it's private IP only, and I have not enabled the public IP, it didn't allow us to test from the Cloud Shell terminal. Why? Because it's in private IP. You need to make sure that you deploy it in Cloud Run and enable all traffic. Only by providing the right private IP connectivity, only then you will be able to test it through application. If you want to test it locally, like I discussed in the previous step, you need to add the authorized external network IP as 0.0.0.0/0, which means you can access this database from anywhere. It's open to internet. It's risky. That's why we check the checkbox that says acknowledge the risk. Since it's a trial application and we're going to delete the instance after the development and test is done, we enable it. It's okay for the time being. But ideally, when you build your production grade application after development and test, you will not keep the development server can be in 0.0 because you will not put real data in there anyway, right? So it's okay for now. We'll delete the instance later. All right. So what we did is we went to AlloyDB console. We went to all clusters, identify your cluster and click the instance. Cluster and instance will be displayed one below the other. Instance will be displayed as a branch from the cluster. Click the branch name. It will open the cluster landing page and the cluster and instance console. You will see all of the cluster details like you see right here. And below that, you will see instance details as well, like instances in your cluster section, as you can see in my screen. And under that instance, you will see three dots, vertical ellipsis. Click edit. And once you click edit, it will show basic info and other things and connectivity section. So in connectivity section, private IP connectivity will be enabled by default because that's the setup we did originally. Now you need to check the enable public IP checkbox as well, which is prompting it to keep it open to internet by adding 0.0.0.0/0 as an authorized external network. This is what you did right now. By doing so, it will ask you to acknowledge the risks that you're taking by exposing your data to the internet. You check that checkbox and then you click update instance. I already updated my instance just now. And once you update, after it completes updating, it will take you to the AlloyDB update complete page. Make sure to note your public IP address now. Just copy the public IP address, not with the port, just the IP address, and come back to Cloud Shell Editor. Replace your private IP address with the public IP address right now. And that's what I did. And then go to Cloud Shell Editor and run the same command again to run the Streamlit application and get the server started so we can test again. So now that it's running, in pointing to the public IP address, let's test out Alice. Okay, I have an error in line 25. Role does not exist. So now at least it's talking to the database, which is great. All right. User. Some issue in the query, in this query right here. So let's just test this out. Now I'll go to the untitled query tab. I'll run this query. Maybe I did some, yeah, see, role does not exist. I unnecessarily added the role column. It's not needed. Just remove that field. But why doesn't my employees table have any data? I just inserted data, right? Did we not insert? I accidentally missed inserting it. Yeah, there is no data. How come? I thought we inserted data. Is anyone else facing the issue where you don't see your inserted data? Maybe I the one who missed it. Yeah, I think I accidentally missed running that particular part. Let me see if I have data in my user roles table. Yeah, it's my mistake, but if you have data there, perfect. I just did a copy paste error from code lab to the tab. So that's the thing. Let me see if my user roles table is populated. Yeah, this is populated. I think I just missed this last part. Uh-oh, this is why I saw this error now. So let me just run this really quickly. Insert into employees table. So now new row violates row level security for employees. Okay. I should have inserted the table beforehand, not afterwards. Okay, show of thumbs. Anyone facing the same error as me? Anyone missed inserting accidentally? Or you're seeing the data? What does this show of thumbs mean? Can you type? Can you tell me that it's working for you? Rules in the instance. Okay, why is so none of you ran the insert into employees table query? How come? We copied it from that, no? You accidentally missed running it? No, no. Data is not there in the employees. I understand that. But my question is, how did we all miss running that? It's right there in the code lab. Like, how did we all miss running that? I'm confused.
No, Abirami, after setting the row level security, if I try to query the database, it is not showing the data. But now I can see in Streamlit application the data.
So after what? You
I mean, the data is there in the tables, but it is not visible. I mean, we cannot select.
got it, got it, got it. Okay. Okay, okay. Because of the row level security, we are not able to run it. You're visible, you're saying it's there in the application. Perfect.
Yeah.
I got it. So the only issue is you removed the role from the query.
Yes, no, after removing the role, I can see the data and
Perfect. Perfect. Then we are good. Just delete the role because I accidentally put in a role in the query, but that's good. We are able to debug that issue. Just save the app.py. In line number 25, there is an extra column which is not there in the table. I think initially I had a join with the user roles, but I removed it later and I forgot to remove it from the select clause. So just remove the role and stop the server and rerun it. So just run the Streamlit command again. Now we have the local host again. Go to this application. Let's see if you're able to see this as Alice. Yeah, so I'm able to view data as Alice because Alice is an employee. Alice is only seeing data from Alice's records. Bob is a manager, so Bob must be able to see all the three of your records, as you can see right here. And Charlie is an employee, can see only one record. Eve is not there in the data, and user data, so access is denied. So you see how row level security takes action. Show of thumbs, how many of you got to the step successfully? Yeah, the issue is in 25th line. Thank you for whoever confirmed that it was working because I was just lost why I'm not able to run. Oh, I remember why I'm not able to run. Remember how the table owner's permission was a loophole and we enforced restricted access to it. So that's why I'm not able to run from the query. That's something I forgot. Yeah. Remember we ran, so let me just take you back to the code lab. We ran the permission, enable permissions 2 times. If you notice, we enable row level security and we enforce row level security. Enable will make sure the right users have the right permissions, but enforcing, that is force, will make sure that even table owners do not have the loophole of having the access to the data. So that's what happened right here. And that's why I was not able to run that query and get the data. I hope that clears it. Yeah, what you need to submit for result is this screenshot of your results where you have Alice as the record and access data, this particular screenshot. Yeah, if you want to see where it is there in the code lab, go to step number 8, verify zero trust. And the first screenshot in step number 8 is what you need to submit. There is one user missing there. That's okay. I added it later in the application just to showcase what access denied looks like. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. We have completed it. Now, why this matters for AI agents? Imagine connecting, we discussed this, right? Connecting your model to the database. If a user asks information from your agent or from your model, like summarize all performance reviews without giving much of a detail, it will summarize all reviews from the employees table. Without RLS, your information might be leaked. So that's why row level security is mandatory. And especially in the AI era, when data is everything, is used in context and everything, zero trust AI is the way to go. And that's why we enforce this, and we went through the session as well. Now, for taking this to production, now, for this architecture demonstrated in this session, we used, however, even though it is production grade, but the way we went about it has been simplified for learning purposes. As you can see, we built a Streamlit application and we had a few users and we set role level security. But in a real world enterprise environment, you should also enhance it further by including your real authentication, not just like user won't be a stored name in the table, right? Either it'll be an OAuth platform or Google Identity platform, whatever it is that you're using. And then connection pooling will be required. Session variables, persisting session variables could be a problem. So making sure that all of that is handled in your, all that will be anyway handled in your production grade enterprise application. Making sure that is all that is in place and ensuring that application session variables are reset appropriately so that data leakage is prevented. That is something you need to take into account as well. And secret management, like we said, hard coding database credentials is a security risk. We did that right now here for trial application. Ideally, you'll use a secret manager or use environment variables for deployments and for different environments. So making that secure is also mandatory. So with these steps, you can easily take row level security for your applications to production. So that's pretty much it. Don't forget to clean it up because your thing is it's open to public, right? So make sure we delete once you complete it. There is a link given in the step number 9, which takes you directly to the cluster. Open that link in a new tab. Make sure you go to the cluster that you're working on today. If you have multiple clusters, if you have only one, great. Just click the 3 dots right next to the cluster and delete. It will ask you to type the name of the cluster or the ID of the cluster that it is showing to make sure you're deleting it consciously. Select that and delete. So your cluster is gone. That's it. Congratulations, you've successfully completed and submitted. If you have your credentials already sent to you in your email, great, you can go ahead and submit. If you just registered a few hours before the session, you probably would not have received your result submission app credentials, which is fine. You will get it anyway later tonight or tomorrow morning. Tomorrow evening is the last tomorrow, basically 27th till 11:59 is the last day to submit. Till evening is the last time to submit your season 13's results. And sorry, I was just lost in the chat for a second. And there will be a few more sessions set up before we start season 14. The reason is these sessions are mandatory because this season was great. We dealt a lot with AlloyDB and AI compatible fully AI Postgres compatible applications. However, we want to talk about we also want to talk about other databases like Cloud SQL, Firestore, and we also want to talk about Firebase Studio. I know a lot of you are big fans of Firebase Studio as well. We want to bring in one other Googler from the Firebase Studio team who wants to actually, who's very excited, who attended one of our sessions and is really excited to talk to you developers, and will be running a session again sometime later, not again, but for the first time, sometime in first week of February or so. Once all the sessions are scheduled, I will reach out to the registered Code Vipassana participants in email and you'll get invites. You will also see the invites and the upcoming sessions in my LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn profile. So please feel free to connect and connect with me and the Code Vipassana leads and also Code Vipassana channel, whichever you prefer. Please connect with us and you will get all the updates then and there. I want to take a moment to thank all the developers who've been consistent. I've been seeing a lot of you consistently for each session this season, but also across seasons. So that has been tremendous effort from your end. That shows your commitment to learning. That's really good. But we also want to hear from you. So we will send a feedback form later to hear from you, like what went well for you in the season. And I also want to take a moment to thank Code Vipassana leads who've been with us through all the sessions and also the seasons, and supported with answering your questions and also in the Discord channel as much as possible. So thank you, leads. And once again, I want to remind that tomorrow is the last date for result submission. And you will be, if you submitted all four results in the shortest time, like the fastest fingers first, the top 50, depending on when you submit it, will be identified as lab champions. And everyone who submitted at least one lab end to end will, I mean, one lab or one, I think this time we have one lab, yeah, one lab will get a participant certificate. But depending on how many labs you submit, you will get certificates by band. The certificate is in collaboration with the Google Developer Group's Cloud Kochi. And you will see that after 31st Jan, not before that. Maybe because we'll wait for any other questions that you may have. But tomorrow is the last date for submission. So please don't reach out after 27th for access to the tool. It's already designed as part of the tool. It wouldn't let you submit beyond that. Um, yes, result submission credentials will be shared in email. But again, yeah, thank you so much. And shortly, we'll take a few days break because we've had back-to-back sessions and it's a lot of learning. I want you to take a breather and reflect on the learning that you've had, submit feedback, and we'll have leads also presenting 2 or 3 sessions following up in early February. And one from the Firebase team, from Google's Firebase team, will also be talking to us. Certificates will be provided on or after 31st Jan next week. And one last, yeah, I've been seeing a question repeatedly about how to become Code Vipassana leads. So Code Vipassana leads is not a process like the other levels. We reach out to you based on the contribution, and it also is an interview process, and that gets notified to selected people. If we have a need for it at the moment, we will definitely reach out to the team and let you all know. But there is also a chance to be a community contributor rather than being a lead, which is very similar, except for being part of that Code Vipassana lead community. You will be a community contributor lead overall, not specific to Code Vipassana. That will help you in your learning journey as well, if that interests you. Yeah, we'll reach out. But this is a gamified thing where you go from lab champion to troubleshooter to project pioneer to community contributor. So you will get all the details as you go. We have just started 2026. We've already completed a season, which is great.
There is a title error. Like after submitting a screenshot, it's asking title like RLS demo. The private vault RLS demo. The code we are using does not contain RLS demo. Please add
No,
RLS demo.
just change the code. Just change the code. You can get that, right? What is it? What does your screen show? Oh, it's not showing RLS demo. Just change that. Just find this in your app.py code and add RLS demo here. This is line number 31. Does that help?
Yes, just inform me.
Yeah. Were you able to submit?
Yeah, it's done already.
Yeah. That's all. Cool. Thank you. Thanks, folks. Thank you so much. It was lovely going through this with you, and we'll also connect further. It's not the end of the season. I mean, this is the last scheduled session for which you submit results. The next few sessions that we'll have following up as a follow-up for this season, you will not have results to submit. So you can just attend in free, learn, and just gain from it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks
Thank you.
to join from other time zones. Yeah. Thank you. See you also. I'll stop recording now.
Thank you, Abirami. Thank you for the amazing sessions.
Thanks, Judgment.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yep.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.